All righty. Hello, everybody. This is Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. This is a special happy Thanksgiving special to you and your family. I hope you're enjoying each other. And if you have a moment to pop in here, hopefully we give you something to enjoy while you're waiting for the family to get together. And if you're alone, we are now in your living room.
Exactly.
So good to be here. This is Screw Big Gov. This is our show, Two Dudes Chillin' with my buddy here, Alan Fountain.
Hi, guys. Happy Thanksgiving.
And we are coming from you. Our location, which we will disclose, is 1234 My Street
Ha,
in None Your Business,
in
California.
your town, yeah.
Yes, in
Your town, USA.
Your town, USA. So, hey, love you, respect you, and we're gonna have a little fun off the cuff here today. This will probably be a shorty, but hopefully it'll be something for you to enjoy and maybe even play through the weekend because we've got a lot of work to do. So I know I will not be back until Monday. So I've got work doing on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I'm looking actually forward to getting a lot done.
Awesome. That sounds great.
How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, very well. You know what? I've had a nice week. I've had this horrible little bronchitis, but I've been able to go out to the movies. I'm kind of getting in the holiday spirit. I saw two holiday movies recently. So it was kind of nice to get out, see some of the decorations that are going up around town, etc. So it's been a good week so far.
What'd you see?
I saw the red one, which was it was compelling. It was The Rock, and I love spy movies and espionage.
Mhm.
So it was kind of interesting to see this espionage movie based around Santa going missing, and seeing some of the. There was a few disclosures in there. I thought a little bit. It was kind of interesting to see The Rock in a movie, knowing that what we know all about the celebrities and guessing what might be a 1.0 and then what might be a 2.0 and so in particular with the Lahaina incident with he and Oprah, it's got so many people's heads spinning and what to believe about are they good or are they bad? And here we have him playing this wholesome character in a wholesome movie, family man.
That's the game, though, is it not?
So strategy, you believe?
The worst guys play the best guys.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
In the films, yeah. And I've said this a long time ago. I think he's one of the characters that are CGI.
That is very fascinating because I'm telling you, his complexion and his skin, everything is just flawless.
Yeah, this is just my opinion. I mean, total tinfoil hat moment. I don't have my hat around, but I would say The Rock, Tom Hanks, Bruce Willis, and Nicolas Cage are all seem to be CGI to me. Now, what's interesting the most is we know that Bruce Willis actually signed a CGI contract.
Yeah,
and he's having supposedly he has some major mental lapses in memory and speaking. So I've been told that he can barely even be on camera.
Wow.
Yet he's done 12 films in the last 2 years.
That makes a lot of sense. There was I think I may have discussed this with you. There was a movie called Cosmopolitan that Robin Wright Penn played an actress in this movie, and it explained it. This is maybe 8 or 9 years ago. This movie came out, and it goes into all the details of how this actress sells her likeness for so she can be with her kid who's ill. So this is all.
Is she not in the new Tom Hanks movie?
She's in the new Tom Hanks,
which is, by the way, I've seen the previews. Is CGI all over the place.
Well, I'm telling you, it's one shot.
I know, Robert, you're going to say AI, so let's go with AI. Whatever it is, it's a computer doing the imagery.
Yeah, because it's just like what we pick up casually.
So she pretty much pre-programmed us for this.
Well, so in that movie, it was almost like she planned us for this era coming, but at that time we had no idea that it could conceivably be part of a strategy, because that would be a lot of advanced knowledge. But we knew CGI was coming, or AI, but not whether or not they were removed for legal reasons.
Well, the two may not be tied together.
Yeah,
they could have been doing their typical satanic disclosure.
Yeah,
where she disclosed it 8-9 years ago.
Yeah,
and then the good guys could have said, "Okay, now we're going to put you in a movie that shows that you're CGI."
Yeah,
kind of, and with Tom Hanks, which kind of an effort.
That was so compelling to see this movie here with Tom Hanks and Robin Wright Penn. the entire movie was in one screen shot. So, like you had mentioned, if they had a studio at one of these camps, that would be one of the easiest movies to do, even without anyone using a scene, you know, with CGI or anything AI.
Mhm.
But so I kind of enjoyed the movies, but the Rock thing
That one
is
you said was a
compelling.
little slow, though, you told
It
me,
was
right?
it was very slow for me. It's slow in the beginning. Robert Altman kind of does these kind of quirky movies, but his was always really creative and talented and had you know, full storylines. This was basically one scene, one location, and it went through different eras, starting back with the dinosaurs, coming up to modern time, and it was everyone who had lived in this one square
They
block
could hear you, by the way.
over the. Okay, I'm sorry, it was a little
No
loud.
worries.
My voice tends to elevate anyway. So within this one square block, they have an entire civilization of timelines, you know, which was kind of interesting, but it bounced all over the place. It was almost like they had to come up with a reason to use these powerful stars in something that didn't really make
Yeah, it's
sense
interesting.
and easy to do.
So I have now. When I have these theories, by the way, I'm not saying they're fact, and I know there's a lot of people out there that have theories, and the way they get the clicks is they tell you it's fact. This is truth, and this is how they get 200,000 views on something because they're not authentic. So they play a game which I don't like. So I'm going to tell you there's a theory, and I theorize that if these baddies have been taken down, that the good guys would be using them to their benefit. Therefore, they created a studio in some place like Gitmo to film all these. And there's another evidence of that. You can take their assets from them, right?
Seize their assets.
And
That's the executive order. Yeah.
So if you notice in the last few years, anybody, if you go to watch any modern movies, go and look at the executive producers and the producers. They're actors now.
Interesting.
Competent actors. So I have a theory that what they've done is instead of seizing their assets, they're really laundering their money.
Wow.
So they take the money from their estates, and they put the money back into a film that's produced by, say, the good guys, with them as executive producers. And when the payout comes back from those movies, which they do, they go into an account,
White hat account.
a white hat account. That's probably some type of LLC. So,
I love it.
So people involved don't even know.
It's brilliant.
And if you notice, I just noticed that I'm like, well, this is weird that all of a sudden all these actors are the executive producers. Why, by the way, executive producers is who funds movies. So the executive producers and the producers of all these movies, I'm like, that's very odd that all of a sudden they're doing this. They weren't doing it before.
It's a good note, a good take and notice.
So it's a possibility in my mind that could happen. Now, in regards to the movies, I saw the Red One.
Okay,
I loved
you
it.
did?
Yeah, I thought it was great.
Yeah,
I think
I loved it too.
I believe, based on something I've seen, that The Rock is a piece of crap. But I don't think it's him anymore. So I don't really fear going to the movie and supporting, because I don't think I'm supporting him.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, guys.
Yeah.
But I'm open to finding out what's going on. But it doesn't even feel like him. I saw a couple movies that he was in before this, and the CGI was so bad. It was just so obvious.
Well, I just know that the appearance of the actors, their complexions, it just seems so flawless now compared to before. You could actually see that they were, had some wrinkles or something in their skin. Everything now is almost, like it is enhanced. Perfection.
Yeah,
which
I agree.
Which I don't know if that's a clue to give that away.
Now, you and I saw another holiday movie together, and both of us went in thinking it was a different movie.
Yeah, I know, a total different.
But it was excellent. It's a family. It was a family movie.
Yeah, feel good movie.
I think it was called The Best Christmas Pageant Ever.
Yeah.
But it was a good, feel good family movie.
Yeah.
Didn't seem to have any negative messages in it.
Which was nice. It was like a Hallmark type.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was really good. It was well done. I think it's funny, though, that we both went in thinking it was some other movie. I don't even remember what at the time, and we're like, oh, okay.
I guess I had possibly seen some trailers and assumed that it was on the queue to come out soon, and assumed it was another one.
Yeah.
I actually thought it was the Red One, maybe, just and I had confused the titles.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So while I'm at it, I just want to give a quick note Hey, there I am. To Matt at Verity Metals, veritymetals.com. He's a huge supporter of ours. Seems like just about anything we want to do, he's going to pitch in and try to help, which we really appreciate. So give Matt some love. He'll would treat you right if you want somebody honest and get the best margins on silver and gold, especially if you're flipping over your IRA. You don't suddenly find out that half of it's gone, which, believe it or not, a lot of these companies are doing. It's sad. So invest in your future with precious metals. Go to veritymetals.com, veritymetals.com, or call Matt directly, especially if you want to talk about Patriot shit, at 480-717-9081, 480-717-9081.
Excuse me.
So what else is on your mind?
Well, you know what? Something interesting today got me kind of raged and my blood boiling, because in this deep research on some of the tech giants in the Silicon Valley, early in our movement, some of the leaked what memes, etc. And
real quick, guys, when Alan says meme, he means meme.
Meme, thank you.
So for the general, it's just a different language, because he's been in this before we are. So back in the day, they were memes. Now they're called memes. So I just need to let them know, because they're all like, I know the first 2-3 times you said, I like, what the hell is a meme? And then you explain it to him. I go, oh, it's a meme.
It's interesting.
So we think it's a meme, but just remember, he's way off.
I started doing memes 12 years ago.
Yeah, he's in front of the curve, right?
So, and I may have been mispronouncing it even back then.
No, I think you should keep it, because you can own it.
But it's basically
copyright it.
Basically, when you have pictures and words combined in order to create a storyline or whatever, even like some of the QMAP word cards. So these are kind of like storylines with photographs, but nonfiction, not fiction. So early on, there was a what I would call a influencer to some degree, or named War News, and it's my discernment that there was a lot of more sinister things going on with 23andMe, and it's likely that something has happened in the shadows. Maybe their money was seized is one reason why they lost assets. Because how does your value go from multi-billions of dollars to nothing, in a very short period? Because she's on the list of one of these candidates that War News listed as being compromised, as along with her sister Susan of YouTube and Anne of 23andMe. She and Sergey Brin divorced. But the weird conundrum here is Sergey Brin then marries the lady who was running RFK's campaign, who is now also part of the health. So this is where it gets so confusing, and who is playing a character, who is sinister, because we're seeing that the people that I perceive to be negative and doing bad things, or the globalist agenda, helping bring in the Agenda 21 and New World Order and profiting from it, things are happening to them. So this makes me think that Sergey Brin always came up neutral on the QMAP cards. The others would say traitor or pawn or evil. And so for someone to come up neutral and to see he's now married to someone we believe and we respect, which is in the Health and Human Services Division, working with RFK, makes me think that Sergey might somehow be a neutral role in here. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Maybe was neutral.
Or was neutral.
And now he's flipped, right?
Okay, neutral to flipped.
Yeah, because
got it.
And it's funny is I have a philosophical theory that you have a certain percentage of people that are intrinsically good and a certain percentage of people that are intrinsically evil, and the evil is a very small percentage.
Yeah.
That like they're born evil. I think that's very small percentage, because I think most people are born good, but maybe with their parents within a few years they could be flipped evil. I think that's a very, very small percentage. People think it's large percentage. I don't think so. I think there's also a larger but still a small percentage of people that are just inherently good. I
Yeah.
think you have a vast majority in the middle that are neutral. And the reason why this world is to where the world is today is because the neutral will gravitate towards where the magnet is. So if the magnet is being pulled into evil, like, oh, we could use abortions for birth
Yeah.
control, or
Yeah.
all this type of stuff, um, that people would consider that it's evil, or at least borderline evil,
Yeah.
they gravitate towards to that. But if it's more compelling to be good, they're going to gravitate towards that.
Sure.
I feel like where we're going in this country and the world is, I think more people now, for the first time in decades, are gravitating towards good,
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
pulled that way.
What?
So if he truly was a neutral, maybe it was he had a talking to, and he said, okay, you need to pick a side. Because remember, at the beginning, it said you will have to pick a side.
Yeah. That it did. You're right. It did say that. One of my intel informants from the military, he did a podcast recently, and I was listening to it, of being psychopaths and sociopaths, like literally psychopaths. And these are the ones that gravitated towards being the CEOs of these corporations. The
Mm-hmm.
majority of them that would pass that test would qualify as a psychopath, or were leading the companies.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
this is why you see them being able to go along with some of these sinister agendas, messing with the food, manipulating the pharmaceuticals and drugs. And when I heard that podcast with him, they had done a deep dive into the psychopathy
Mm-hmm.
of these CEOs and that 1% that are evil. So I agree and understand your element of talking about there's definitely more good.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people that get in these um, companies that are become followers, they were just normal people going about their job, and it's kind of like the frog in the pot thing. Something happens and it just goes. And I've witnessed that with people that I can say that were in my extended social circle. You know, that kind of dynamic happened over a
Mm-hmm.
course of 30 years. You
Yeah,
know,
well, I can tell you that, for example, the CIA, part of their recruiting is they actually have a profile that they
well,
look for. In fact, many people don't know this, and I don't know if it exists anymore, but CIA had a stronghold at Stanford University, and
interesting.
they would profile the kids at Stanford University to see, obviously you'd have to have something to offer, but if they had kind of that psychopath tint to them,
Yeah.
or leading towards greed,
Yep.
they would become a target. And
Wow.
there's apparatuses all over the campus that do that. There's certain fraternities and sororities that attract a certain type. There's certain clubs that attract a certain type. There's certain professors that are actually CIA operatives,
Yeah.
and
I've heard that a lot
they're
about.
looking at what type of writing you're doing.
Yeah.
A lot of it is in uh, philosophical type classes, because it's more open to interpretation, right?
Wow.
And in a lot in English and writing and stuff
Yeah.
like this, because then they can determine what the psychology of a person is.
Yeah.
And then they either honeypot them, where they do a bump and meet, where they
Yeah.
bump into
I
them.
know what bumping meats are.
Yep,
Those.
they meet them, and the next thing you know, they're recruiting them. So
Yeah.
this stuff is real, and
You know,
I know it was going on Stanford's campus with the CIA for
well,
decades.
I'm sure that part of the academia entrance exams, they could throw in an MMPI or some type of test that really measures that psychology,
Yeah, I guarantee you. Yeah.
and make the student just assume that it's part of the academia.
Yeah, and I think they do
You know,
physical testing too. Like they'll walk in front of somebody and drop $100 bill and see if
see,
they pick it up and put it in
yeah,
their pocket, or if they come tap on your shoulder.
that's very interesting. I
You
just
know?
saw something in a news documentary where these tests were happening about how someone would respond. It's very interesting.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
they do a lot of social testing too. So it's fascinating. So you mentioned something. I haven't studied it yet, but
yeah.
something going on in the news right now.
Yeah, I noticed I had just checked with the news earlier, and there was swatting. The A lot of the cabinet picks that
Hmm.
Trump has endorsed or put up. There was an episode of swatting over the last 24 hours with Pete Hegseth, as well as two others.
Well, I actually I put right when you said, I pulled it up.
Oh,
So
cool, excellent.
Pete Hegseth, Elise Stefanik, and Lee Zeldin.
Yeah, this is compelling. I had only became familiar with the term swatting back maybe about a year and a half ago when the governor of Georgia, I can't think of her name right now, she was running for governor of Georgia, and she was somewhat supporting Lynn Wood, but she was a female running for Georgia. She had a nice following, but she got swatted, and so this became a topic that I started learning about. What do you think is going on right now with this news cycle topic right now, right before Thanksgiving?
Yeah, during Thanksgiving. So
Yeah.
it's well, I have a completely different take on this because as soon as you told me, I went to see what was trending. Out of 29 top things, not one is trending
Oh
on
no.
X, but in the mainstream media, it's the number one conversation.
Yeah.
So that's brings me pause. So as soon as I saw that it's not trending on X, not even in the top 29, but yet it's number one in mainstream media, I said, this is a story they want you to see. So then
I got
I
it.
put on my hat from my show that I just did in regards to the Khazarian Mafia.
Uh,
And then, let me tell you the three people we just mentioned, what they have in common.
oh
So,
no.
so you have Hegseth,
Yep.
he's a Zionist,
Okay.
right? You have Elise Stefanik, which is a Catholic, but she's heavy, heavy against any anti-Semitism, big time.
Got it.
And then you have Lee Zeldin, who is Jewish.
Wow.
So what
You
they're
made a link there.
see
That's
what they're
interesting.
doing is they're setting it up. It's the victimization of these
Oh,
Trump
got it.
tips, right?
Yeah.
And then they'll set it up probably like some neo-Nazi group is going
Yeah.
after Trump's Israel pick. So
Got it.
it's again, oh,
Victimization again.
victim for Israel. Poor
Poor me.
Israel is being
Yeah.
victimized again
Yeah.
because we have to use what we know.
Yeah.
It's not trending on X, which is now the biggest news
Yep.
platform in the world. It's not
Yep.
even in the top 29. Yet it's all over mainstream media, CNN, NBC, Fox. It's on all of them.
That's a brilliant.
Think about it,
I'm
right?
impressed right
You
now.
like that?
I'm very impressed because the brilliance of realizing that X is our news source right now, and then
Mhm.
the legacy media who is known for the propaganda.
It's an operation
They're
you're
not in the
seeing.
same way. I'm glad that you put that point together because I would not have right off instantly made that association, and it's brilliant. It makes a lot of sense,
So
particularly with those picks, because I had not had time to do any association or what they're
right,
comparing.
right.
I'm impressed. Is that just instinct or
It was
like
instinct. It was
yeah
because I've been exposing the mainstream media for so long on my channel. Immediately, I'm like, okay, if all of them are talking about it, let's see if this is a real story. And I went to X, and nobody was talking about it. And I said, okay, I see what's going on here.
that's brilliant.
They want us to see the
Yeah.
story. And then I just dug in real quick and said, why do they want us to see the story? And I immediately saw the connection between
They're the everything that is about the mainstream legacy media goes into that poor me.
That's right.
Poor me
It's a
from
victimization thing.
victimization. That's very interesting, and it also to bring it and well, they may not realize it, but it's also bringing more attention to the backgrounds of those nominees. And I don't know if that's actually in their favor or not.
Yeah, I
But
don't know either. I don't
yeah,
know where it's going to go. It's just
yeah,
it seems to me
that is a pattern.
that this is what we're looking at right
I do
now.
well with recognizing patterns, and
Right.
I had not. We're right in the cycle right now, so it would have taken a while for me to have ever gotten to to the pattern like that. But
Yeah,
that's a good point. I like that. Thanks for pointing that out.
yeah,
That's beautiful.
it's fascinating.
Just for you doing your show yesterday. By the way, I thought it was very well done. It was handled with was thoughtful, but to the point, and it is the truth. It's Khazarian Mafia, and the way it takes a very eloquent tongue to be able to explain it and not come across as anti-Semite, you
Yeah.
know, and you did it very well. And I think you probably have a lot more you can go with from what you started yesterday because it's such a deep rabbit hole, and everything that you talked about was very well done and very well thought out. And
Well, they are the world controllers.
yeah,
And ironically, a lot of people say, "Well, China's controlling the world." The Khazarian Mafia is China now.
yeah.
People need to understand that.
But they've infiltrated
The
everywhere. There was
Khazarian Mafia,
money.
yeah, the CCP is directly controlled by the Khazarian Mafia.
Yeah,
And people go, the Dragon families, there is a little bit of Dragon family thing in there, but the Khazarian Mafia is deep in China.
yeah.
They're not in Russia.
because they wouldn't let the central banks in. He fought it.
Exactly. They're not
know.
in Russia. They're not in El Salvador.
Yep.
They weren't in Libya until they. So the
Yep.
patterns are so clear. This stuff, guys, after we learn it, and I say we because I'm not isolating myself on a mountain here. When we learn it, it's so easy to see the patterns of this stuff,
That's yeah.
right?
I agree with you.
It's pretty obvious what they're doing. So my son did point out something that I think is important, and this is a lesson for me yesterday, and I think it'd be a lesson for everybody watching. Is it gets dangerous for us to keep saying Jews, 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 right? Because we're talking about fake Jews here.
Yeah.
We're not
Yeah.
actually talking. They're not even real Jewish people. And I can tell you the 80% or 90% of Jews out there, regardless if you hate or love their religion or whatever, they have no freaking clue what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
They have no clue what's going on.
No.
It does blow me away though that a religion as a whole can lean heavily Democrat.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just weird.
Yeah.
It's just weird to
Yeah.
me.
By a faith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have issues with religion in general, right? And churches, the control mechanisms. But to have a belief in God and lean so you're pro-abortion, it just kind of blows me away a little bit. And that's the biggest platform they run on. And it's a very interesting
being anti-Semitic or whatever, but I am noticing that even though you have the Khazarian mafia, who's the head of the central banks, the Rothschild families, the rest of that faith benefits from the privilege of aligning and bowing to that power.
Very true.
And so whether or not they're anything evil or bad intentioned, they have to clean up their own within their own culture. Otherwise, they're going to get that generalization association by people that cannot understand or articulate what the difference in the Khazarian mafia is and how it came into the world. There is an article that by Veterans Today in my blog on the very first article that's got one of the best outlines of the Khazarian mafia history. If anyone wants to go into like reading that, they can go to my blog and just go to gfforjustice.com, GF the number 4, JUSTIC.com, and go to the first article. And there's a whole entire history of 1,000 years on the Khazarian mafia, and it explains it. That way people can understand that it's not picking on the Jewish culture like, like people want to make it out to be. It's literally these people have been exploited. I think they've been exploited, and
yeah, but you made a good point too. And this is a generalization, but if you're born Jewish, you have a leg up.
Yeah.
In general, and based on the.
I wanted to be Jewish. I was so jealous.
Yeah, based on the structure and so on and so forth. But you're right. I really never thought of it, even though the average Jew, even if they could be good people, they are within a construct that's created by the Khazarian mafia that they benefit from.
They are taking advantage of those privileges, and for whatever reason,
it's almost opposite. Like if you're born Black in the inner city,
yeah,
it is, and we have to be honest with ourselves, right? It's not a narrative thing. It is harder.
It's harder.
It's harder to break
the odds
through
are
that,
stacked.
right? Because you don't have as much opportunity.
Just the opposite direction.
You kind of have to push out of that. Push through the gangs and push through everything else. So it is interesting that you pointed out that, because the odds are better.
Yeah.
Just by being born.
And
in that religion. Now, that's a generalization. So that doesn't mean everybody, because there are poor Jews and so on and so forth. But the reality is, yeah, it's almost like a leg up. It's being part of one of the 13 families.
Yeah. Well, you had mentioned
So why wouldn't that be a story? So that would make you pause for a second and say, well, maybe we should look into the Holocaust. And again, I'm one of these guys in the middle. I'm not black and white. There's many people out there that say the Holocaust didn't exist. Hitler was a good guy. Sorry, I'm not there. The Holocaust did exist. I don't believe it existed even close to the levels that we're being told. And Hitler So I think started off because he was actually trying to end the central banking system
Yeah.
and squash a lot of things that was going on. But if you really get the real history, he did a lot of things that were pretty egregious also. And I know, again, people have to be in both camps. They're like, no, it has to be this or it has to be this.
Well, I think
And I'm telling you guys, it's both. It can
yeah.
be two truths can be they can
Yeah.
be exist at the
Yeah.
same time.
Yeah.
But people are not
It's called
comfortable.
dialectical behavior.
They're not comfortable
Yeah.
with a conversation that has more meat to it.
Yeah.
It has to be. It's either this or this, and they stand in their corners. And I think they do themselves a disservice.
I think it's really brilliant for their strategy. Even though there might be there's evil in it, it's a brilliant strategy in order to have dominion over the masses. You have the in charge of the money changers, the banking. Then you have the media, a large sector of
Food,
Hollywood,
pharma, and medical.
Yeah. So it's a brilliant
Hollywood.
plan. It's a brilliant plan.
And now you are diving into maybe even technical.
And now when I see some of the elements in the tech, of course, Zuckerberg with Facebook, I do believe he's of that faith. And so when you have the top 1% or less that are head of captains of all of these industries, of course they're going to favor when they think that they're being persecuted. There's a reason to bind together. And I've always been envious of their loyalty to one another and the way that they support one another. And I have Jewish friends, and I was always envious of seeing just how tight they were. And I thought, what's going on here? And it took many, many years. It took me a long time to figure out what the Khazarian Mafia was and the central bank aspect of it, and break that down to see how it played into the geopolitical narrative of the Bilderberg and everything else.
It's fascinating, isn't
it?
It's real also.
Yeah, and when you can see that from a geopolitical perspective, you can approach it differently, than just saying Jewish. When you can see the actual truth of where their origin, of where they originated, of having a Nazi stronghold versus otherwise. But it's important to really learn the true history.
Well, and it's fake Jews. So, and I know there's a lot of people out there that it's all Jews. It's guys, it's not, and you're doing your disservice to doing that. They're fake Jews. Imagine if for some reason the Prince of Khazar, when he got the choice to pick Christianity, Muslim, or Judaism, he chose Christianity. Yeah. Maybe because if at the time it could have been, it was Catholic, and they do have a lot of rituals, and they thought they could hide all their Babylonian black magic under there. Yeah. So then there would be a whole sect right now screaming that it's all Christians, right? So we have to be very careful.
They eventually took over Christianity by acquiring the Vatican.
Exactly.
So it took them a while. It wasn't their initial. So maybe they knew, we'll take this one smaller sect now, and this is our long 100-year plan. They took the Vatican, they took DC, and they took the financial district of London.
Of London, the city of London.
The city of London.
Yeah. So there. Here's what's interesting. There's a lot of commonalities. I want people to think about this. You take let's take the Sephardic Jews, or let's take the really, really right-wing Jews, right? You take them, you take the Roman Catholics. I specifically say the Roman Catholics. You take royalty, and then you take the Freemasons. What do they all have in common? They're heavy into rituals. Heavy into rituals.
This is interesting.
But guys, and they all correlate together. They all run in the same circles. They're all tied together. Yeah. So think about those rituals, and a lot of them very, very secretive. I mean, you sit down. Think about this. You can sit down with a Catholic priest and confess all your sins. No matter what, and he's got all the information on you.
It's just like auditing for Scientology.
Exactly. If you become just like that. Yeah. If you become a Mason, you're supposed to confess all your sins to your.
They've got your dirt
to your brothers, and people don't understand.
They own your shame.
It's the same thing.
Yeah,
the royal families. It's the same thing.
Exactly.
So there's some interesting connections
This is
with all of this stuff. And then if you're if you're if you're lucky enough to be circumcised when you're younger, you can have a a rabbi
yeah,
take the foreskin off your penis. I
yeah, which,
mean, what the hell?
this
Now, of
is,
course, that's not everywhere because
yeah,
doctors do it now, but think about where it came from.
and
That was the
this
origin
is
of it.
such a sensitive topic. Like when I first started talking about this about 2 years ago, I would say it's better to follow Roseanne. Listen to someone who is inside that faith, who can talk about the Babylonian system, and she might have a different perspective that doesn't sound offensive or would automatically be accused of being anti-Semite,
Mhm.
because she'll tell you some of the similar information, but not as fully, but in a more guided way. So I was referring people to listen to her, let her explain it. That way, it doesn't come across, as an outsider telling
Mhm.
true history. The history is available to be researched,
Yep.
and it's,
I agree. We're going to
you
take
know
a quick break. You know what that is, folks? That
that's
is Elixir by Sorona. And people have been asking me lately, Lewis, why are you so high on Sorona? Well, I'm not high on Sorona. Hey, how you doing? Woohoo! Um, although it is great for energy, great for working out. But anyways, it's glutathione is by far the most powerful
yeah.
antioxidant there is on the planet. And I have found now, I think this is the single best because it's nano-sized the glutathione, but it's actually wrapped it's with the oil like MCT
Yeah.
oil and other things like that. Why there's other great things in this, so it's more stable than other products
I
that are
like the
out
fact that
there.
it's got a combination other than just the glutathione. You're getting the B12 and you're getting the D3, I believe.
Yep.
So these are things that I always forget to take individually. So when you get it in the one drop,
Hmm.
I just started about a week ago. So I'm hoping
Yep.
it helps me get through this really
It
quickly. But
probably puts
I
you
might be
into
detoxing.
detoxing is
Yeah.
what I was wondering. But it's fantastic. But the good news now is there's actually a Black Friday special that you can get today.
Oh,
So if you just
nice.
go to sorona.org, SYRONA.org, and you pick whatever product you want, there's a Black Friday special. So do that now, and then you can click on Lewis. You can click on the lovely Allen Fountain, whoever you love that's on there. Click on it, and yes, we do get paid a percentage of that. So it's a profit sharing deal.
It tastes good also.
Yeah, it does, surprisingly, right?
Yeah.
And it's just a dropper. So you put it
Yeah.
on your tongue. Then if you want to swish it around your mouth and swallow it, it's
It's
pretty
really good.
awesome.
Yeah.
So, Alan, before we leave, what else is going on
Well,
that you
let's
want
see
to talk
what's
about?
um I can't remember if there was anything that stood out. I had kind of gotten
Let's see
yeah,
what. So I can tell you one thing.
okay.
So remember Alexander Vidman,
Oh, I remember.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Alexander Vindman is the one that was he was the agent, I call him, that was posing as an authentic military guy. He's military, but they're
Yeah.
infiltrated to the highest level. So Vindman actually calls Elon Musk a Russian agent
Oh
of
no. Yeah.
Putin, right?
Interesting.
And so instead of and people were recommending Elon go after this guy for slander, but Elon, I'm thinking the way Elon thinks,
Yep.
instead of going after him for slander, because does Elon really need the money?
No.
He doesn't need the money. So what he does is he'll use his platform, right? And he accuses Alexander Vidman of being on the payroll.
Wow, that's figuring to put that out there. I'm glad that you mentioned Elon right now because we had some technical difficulties with our show last week, and I had mentioned how Elon Musk did a Q post, which was very big for getting 35, 40 million views of validating. Here we have the richest man in the world with the most hottest news platform right now, and he puts out a Q meme. So I thought that was something that, if you're not aware of that, that for the people that did follow that movement and knowing that it was an information dissemination operation, that if anyone's ever a fan of Elon, this guy's not going to do something just crazy, and so it's somewhat he is a fan of some nature. So I just thought that was an interesting
Yeah,
take.
he knows what's going on.
Yeah.
He's clearly an insider. Well, we're in an interesting time. So,
Yeah,
folks, if you're watching this on the day, Thanksgiving, like we will be doing, and enjoy your beautiful meal tonight with your afternoon with your family. And if you're watching it after, well, we hope you enjoyed it. We'll keep this up through the weekend, and just remember, there's somebody close to you that needs you,
yeah,
and you may not even know it. Reach out to them, and I know it's hard to avoid the political discussions. It sure is for us around the Thanksgiving table. But sometimes take a deep breath. And I'll say, for
yeah.
anybody out there, you voted for Trump, maybe refrain from the "I told you
Yeah,
so's."
I agree with you. I think it's a time to let history play out itself. Everybody work as a for the country and work for your families and work for your for loved ones and go out and do an act of kindness, and loving and be giving. And I sometimes that takes away some of the revenge and the wanting to get to settle the score. Do
Yep,
something kind instead.
I agree.
Yeah,
Act of kindnesses will always come back to you in favor. I think God's
yeah,
watching all of that. All
absolutely.
right, guys, enjoy your family. God bless.
Happy Thanksgiving.